The Awakening. The stars stretched endlessly before Captain Maya Chen as she stood on the bridge of the ESS Pathfinder, Earth's first faster-than-light vessel. After decades of theoretical research and 15 years of construction, humanity had finally broken free of Sol's gravitational embrace, crossing into true interstellar space. Navigation confirms we've crossed the Oort cloud, Captain, reported Lieutenant Cato. We are officially in interstellar space. A small smile touched Maya's lips. At 42, she had dedicated her entire career to this moment. The daughter of a quantum physicist and a structural engineer, exploration was coded into her DNA. Send the message to Earth Control, she ordered. Tell them we've done it. The bridge crew worked with quiet efficiency as Maya gazed at the unfamiliar stars. Humanity had dreamed of this moment since they first looked skyward. Now they were here, ready to. Captain. Multiple objects approaching at high velocity. The sensor officer's voice cracked with alarm. Maya spun toward the tactical display. Identification. Unknown design, Captain. But they're massive. Each one at least 5 times our size. Ray shields, power defensive systems, but do not target. Maya's voice remained steady despite the hammering of her heart. Open all communication channels. The objects, sleek vessels with hulls that seemed to bend light around them, surrounded the Pathfinder in a perfect formation no human ship could achieve. We're being scanned, reported Commander Okafor, her science officer. Every frequency, every system. Let them look, Maya replied. We have nothing to hide. A sudden burst of light flooded the bridge as a holographic figure materialized before them. A tall, iridescent being with 4 arms and mottled blue skin. When it spoke, its words were somehow perfectly understandable. Human vessel, you have violated Galactic Council space. Your species is unregistered and unauthorized for interstellar travel. Maya stepped forward. I am Captain Maya Chen of Earth. We come in peace and friendship. We didn't know this region was claimed. The alien's compound eyes pulsed. All space beyond primitive systems is Council territory. Your species was marked for observation only. You are not ready. Not ready, Maya repeated. By whose standards? The Galactic Council has monitored your development for centuries. Your species exhibits disturbing tendencies toward violence, environmental destruction, and technological recklessness. Your social systems remain primitive and fragmented. The bridge crew exchanged glances of disbelief as Maya straightened her uniform. We've overcome many challenges and continue to improve. We request the opportunity to present our case to this council. The alien's head tilted. Request denied. Your vessel will be escorted back to your home system. A quarantine barrier will be established. Humanity is hereby isolated until deemed sufficiently evolved for contact. You can't just. The decision is final. The Council speaks with one voice on this matter. 57 civilizations have judged humanity unprepared for galactic society. Maya's diplomatic training battled with growing anger. We deserve a chance to defend ourselves. Your very response proves our point, Captain. You immediately framed this as adversarial. The alien's voice remained unnervingly calm. Return to Earth. Improve your species. Perhaps in several centuries, the Council will reconsider. With that, the hologram vanished. They're using some kind of tractor technology, Commander Okafor reported. They're turning us around. Maya gripped the command console, mind racing. Options. We could try breaking free, suggested her tactical officer. Our weapons might. No, Maya's voice was firm. We won't confirm their worst fears by attacking. Record everything. We need Earth to know exactly what we're facing. The journey back to Earth took mere hours, the alien vessels effortlessly accelerating the Pathfinder to speeds beyond its design capacity. As they approached the solar system, Maya watched on sensors as hundreds of small devices deployed in a sphere around the entire system. Monitoring stations, Okafor explained after analyzing the data. And something else. They're generating some kind of field. The alien commander appeared once more. The quarantine is established. Any attempt to breach it will result in more severe measures. The council has spoken. Then they were gone, vanishing faster than human sensors could track. 3 days later, Maya stood before the United Earth Council in Geneva, her formal dress uniform a stark contrast to her exhausted face. "They've caged us," she concluded after delivering her report. "Like animals in a zoo." The room erupted in outrage, leaders from nations around the world shouting questions and demands. Secretary General Ramos raised his hands for silence. "What are our options, Captain?" Maya took a deep breath. "They're technologically superior in every way, but they've made a critical mistake." "Which is?" asked the Chinese premier. "They told us we're not alone, showed us their technology is possible, then left us with nothing but time and motivation." Maya's eyes burned with quiet intensity. They should have either destroyed us or welcomed us. Instead, they challenged us. She activated a holographic display showing the alien barrier. "Their quarantine has gaps, tiny fluctuations we detected during our return. They don't think we're sophisticated enough to notice them, let alone exploit them. You're suggesting we defy this Galactic Council?" The European Federation Chancellor looked horrified. "I'm suggesting we prepare. Study their technology. Find weaknesses in their barrier. Build better ships." Maya looked around the room. "They expect us to either give up or lash out foolishly. We'll do neither." Silence fell as her words sank in. "They've judged us without knowing us," Maya continued. "They've condemned us without trial. And they've united us like nothing in human history ever has." Secretary General Ramos stood slowly. "What do you propose, Captain?" "Project Prometheus," she replied, named after the Titan who stole fire from the gods and gave it to humanity. "We'll take what they've shown us and build something they never expected." Around the room, heads began to nod. "They think we need centuries to mature," Maya said, her voice growing stronger. "Let's show them what humanity can do when challenged. One day, we'll return to their Galactic Council, not as supplicants, but as equals they can no longer ignore." As the leaders of Earth began to plan, a new determination swept through humanity. The stars had been denied to them, but not forever. The quarantine wasn't an end, it was just the beginning. 5 years passed. Dr. Sanjay Kapoor wiped sweat from his forehead as he studied the twisted metal fragment floating in the containment field. This small piece of technology might be their first real breakthrough. "Where did we get this again?" he asked his assistant. "Debris field near Jupiter's orbit," she replied. "Commander Rodriguez's stealth team recovered it 3 days ago. It's from a council monitoring station that collided with a comet." Sanjay nodded, focusing his scanning equipment on the strange alloy. At 39, he had already been one of Earth's leading quantum physicists before the quarantine. Now, as head of Project Prometheus's energy division, he carried the weight of humanity's future on his shoulders. The underground facility hummed with activity around him. What had begun as a desperate response to alien containment had evolved into humanity's largest scientific initiative. The Earth Defense Coalition, formed within months of the quarantine, had united former enemies and rivals in a common purpose. "The molecular structure is shifting," Sanjay observed, adjusting his equipment. "It's responding to the quantum scanner." His assistant leaned closer. "That's impossible for our technology." "Yes." Sanjay's eyes gleamed with excitement. "But look at these readings. The material isn't just conducting energy, it's manipulating it at the quantum level." For 3 days and nights, Sanjay barely left his lab. He slept on a cot beside his workstation, waking frequently to run new tests. On the 4th morning, he requested an emergency meeting with the Project Prometheus Leadership Council. Captain Maya Chen, now Earth Defense Coalition commander, sat at the head of the table. Her hair showed more gray than 5 years earlier, but her eyes remained sharp as ever. "You found something, Dr. Kapoor." "More than something," Sanjay activated the room's holographic display. The Council ships don't just travel through space. They manipulate it. The display showed complex equations and models that made even the brilliant minds around the table frown in concentration. In simple terms, Doctor, prompted General Okafor. They use quantum entanglement on a massive scale, Sanjay explained. Their navigation system creates a quantum link between their current position and their destination, then essentially folds space between those points. Like a wormhole? Asked one of the military advisors. No, better. Sanjay's eyes lit up. A wormhole connects two distant points. This technology creates a quantum state where 2 points temporarily share the same space. The ship doesn't travel. It simply shifts from one quantum state to another. Maya leaned forward. And you believe we can replicate this? Not just replicate it. Sanjay smiled. Improve it. The Council exchanged skeptical glances, but Maya silenced them with a raised hand. Explain. The Council technology is efficient but conservative, Sanjay said. They've been using the same approach for what appears to be centuries. But I've identified 3 key modifications that could dramatically enhance performance. Sanjay spent the next hour outlining his proposals. When he finished, Maya stood up. How long? With proper resources, 3 years to develop a working prototype. Maya nodded. You'll have everything you need. Across the facility in a different section, Commander Elena Rodriguez prepared for another mission. Her stealth team had become Project Prometheus's eyes beyond the quarantine barrier. Using tiny probes disguised as space debris, they had discovered the barrier's fluctuation patterns and exploited them to slip small craft through. Ready for Mission 12? Her second-in-command asked, checking the stealth shuttle systems. Elena nodded, her weathered face serious. At 38, she had already completed 11 reconnaissance missions beyond the barrier, each one pushing further into Council space. New orders from Commander Chen, she said quietly. We're going deeper this time. Intelligence believes there's a major Council outpost in the Alpha Centauri system, her second replied. That's bold. Bold is all we have. Elena checked her equipment one last time. Launch in 30 minutes. 3 more years passed in a blur of scientific breakthroughs and covert operations. Dr. Kapoor's team made remarkable progress, while Commander Rodriguez's reconnaissance missions mapped increasingly large portions of nearby Council territories. The Earth Defense Coalition, meanwhile, built hidden shipyards in the asteroid belt and beneath the lunar surface. On the 8th anniversary of the quarantine, Maya Chen stood in the observation deck of Earth's first true warship, the ESS Prometheus. Unlike the primitive vessel that had first encountered the Council, this ship incorporated everything humanity had learned. Status report, Dr. Kapoor. Sanjay looked up from his console, exhaustion and pride warring on his face. Quantum drive is functioning perfectly, Commander. The simulation tests exceed our expectations. We're achieving transition speeds 3 times faster than observed Council vessels, and our stealth capabilities are solid. Elena Rodriguez finished, joining them. The quantum displacement field masks our presence even from their advanced sensors. We've tested it against captured Council monitoring devices. Maya gazed out at the fleet being constructed around them. 30 ships ranging from small, fast attack craft to massive dreadnoughts, all incorporating the revolutionary technology Kapoor's team had developed. 8 years, she said quietly. They gave us an ultimatum thinking we'd need centuries. 8 years is all it took. The Council made a fundamental error, Sanjay said. They judged us by their standards, slow, methodical, conservative. They never considered that pressure would only accelerate our development. Their other mistake was leaving those monitoring stations, Elena added. Every time we captured one, we learned more. Maya nodded, watching as workers applied the final touches to the Prometheus's hull. How soon can we launch? Final system checks complete in 48 hours, Sanjay replied. She'll be ready. Maya's comm unit chimed. Commander, we've received new intelligence from deep space probes. Council activity has increased near the quarantine barrier. They may suspect something. It doesn't matter, Maya said firmly. Even if they know we're coming, they can't imagine what we're bringing. She turned to face her top officers. Prepare all vessels for Operation Breakout. The Council thought they could cage humanity until we became civilized by their standards. Her eyes narrowed as she looked at the impressive fleet taking shape around them. Instead, they forced us to become something far more dangerous. United, determined, and 8 centuries ahead of their schedule. They're about to learn that humans don't take well to being imprisoned. The Ascension. Commander Arya Singh stood on the bridge of the ESS Prometheus, her dark eyes focused on the tactical display. Around her, the crew worked with quiet intensity, preparing for humanity's first strike against the Galactic Council. At 40, Singh had risen through Earth Defense Coalition, ranks due to her brilliant tactical mind and unwavering resolve. All ships report ready, Commander, said her executive officer. Singh nodded, her expression calm despite the weight of responsibility. The fleet, 30 vessels ranging from swift attack craft to powerful dreadnoughts, waited in formation, hidden behind Mars, each ship carrying quantum entanglement drives reverse-engineered from Council technology, but improved by Dr. Kapoor's team. Begin final countdown, Singh ordered. Remind all captains, timing is everything. The plan, now known as the Singh maneuver, was elegant in its simplicity but complex in execution. Rather than attacking the quarantine barrier at a single point, the fleet would split into 7 battle groups and strike simultaneously across the entire solar system. The Council's monitoring stations would face coordinated assault from multiple vectors, overwhelming their response capabilities. 5 minutes to synchronized quantum jump, announced the tactical officer. Singh touched the small medallion she wore, a gift from her grandmother who had died never knowing if humanity would break free of its cage. For Earth, she whispered. The countdown reached 0. Execute jump, Singh commanded. Space itself seemed to ripple as the ships activated their quantum drives. In an instant, the Prometheus and its battle group vanished from Mars' orbit and reappeared precisely 500 meters from a cluster of Council monitoring stations. All weapons free, Singh ordered calmly. Target power cores and communication nodes. The Prometheus's advanced weapon systems came alive, sending precisely targeted energy beams toward the alien stations. Around the solar system, 6 other battle groups did the same, striking with perfect synchronization. The Council stations, unprepared for such an attack, attempted to activate their defenses, but human ships were already transitioning to secondary targets, using short-range quantum jumps to appear and disappear with bewildering speed. Station Cluster Alpha neutralized, reported the tactical officer. No survivors detected. Singh nodded grimly. Move to Phase 2. The Prometheus jumped again, this time targeting a larger Council vessel that had begun to respond to the attack. 3 smaller human ships appeared alongside it, executing a complex maneuver that surrounded the enemy craft. They're trying to quantum jump away, the sensor officer called out. Not today, Singh responded. Activate quantum disruption field, a new technology developed by Dr. Kapoor's team and untested against actual Council ships engage. The alien vessel's engines flared but failed to achieve quantum transition. They're trapped, the tactical officer confirmed. Disable their propulsion and weapons. I want that ship intact, Singh ordered. Within 30 minutes, the first phase of the attack was complete. All Council monitoring stations around Earth had been destroyed, and 2 Council vessels had been captured. The quarantine barrier, dependent on those stations, flickered and failed. Singh didn't allow celebration. Prepare for Phase 3. Operation Breakout. The fleet regrouped and jumped beyond the former barrier, targeting 4 predetermined systems that Commander Rodriguez's reconnaissance had identified as strategic waypoints. These systems, each with valuable resources or tactical positioning, would become humanity's foothold in galactic space. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, The Galactic Council received alarming reports. High Counselor Zrax of the Vasudan Collective called an emergency session. The humans have broken quarantine, the counselor announced to the assembled representatives of 57 civilizations. They have destroyed our monitoring stations and captured council vessels. Murmurs of shock and disbelief spread through the Grand Chamber. Impossible, declared the Tellerate representative. Their technology is primitive. The quarantine was designed to last centuries. Nevertheless, Zrax continued, they have not only breached it but are now seizing control of systems in Sector 12. The Ixthalian ambassador, a crystalline being whose species had originally opposed humanity's quarantine, rose slowly to address the council. We have made a grave error, the Ixthalian said, voice resonating through the chamber. We isolated them, forcing them to evolve without guidance or restraint. Now we face what we created. What do you mean? Demanded another counselor. Consider, the Ixthalian continued. We took a species already known for adaptive thinking and resourcefulness, showed them advanced technology was possible, then left them with nothing but time and motivation to develop it themselves. Back in human space, Commander Singh received reports from all battle groups. The 4 target systems had been secured with minimal resistance. Council forces, surprised by the attack and confused by humanity's quantum jump capabilities, had largely retreated rather than engage. Send the message to Earth, Singh ordered. Operation Breakout successful. Quarantine broken. The stars belong to humanity again. Her communications officer smiled as she transmitted the historic message. Singh studied the tactical display showing human forces establishing defensive positions across the captured systems. Now we prepare for their counterattack. But in the council chambers, unity had fractured. The Ixthalian ambassador continued. Our scans show the humans have not merely copied our technology, they've improved it. Their quantum transition drives are faster and more precise than ours. How is this possible? Demanded the Tellerate representative. We've used the same technology for millennia. Precisely the problem, the Ixthalian replied. We stopped innovating. They were forced to start from scratch with fresh perspectives. The debate raged for hours as reports continued to flow in. Human forces had established what they were calling the human sphere of influence, an interconnected network of the 4 captured systems. More alarming to the Council was how these systems were being treated. Unlike Council occupation, which typically stripped resources and established rigid control, humans were offering local populations protection and autonomy in exchange for alliance. They're building a coalition, the Ixthalian observed, not an empire. A week after the first attack, Commander Singh stood on the observation deck of a newly established space station in the Alpha Centauri system, the first human outpost beyond Sol. Below her, Earth's first colony ship prepared to dock, carrying settlers ready to build a new home. Her communication officer approached. Commander, we've detected council vessels approaching the Ta City system. Response force. No, ma'am. They're flying diplomatic colors. They're requesting talks. Singh's expression remained neutral, but her eyes showed satisfaction. Inform Earth Defense Command. It seems the Council wishes to negotiate. She turned back to the viewport, watching as more human ships arrived through quantum jumps. In just 1 week, humanity had gone from prisoners in their own system to a rising power with a growing sphere of influence. They thought they could cage us, Singh said quietly. Instead, they created something they now fear. The Council, for the first time in millennia, found itself on the defensive. And humanity was just getting started. Captain Maya Chen, now elevated to Fleet Admiral of the Earth Defense Coalition, sat across the table from 3 Council representatives, her face showing no emotion. The Council delegation had arrived expecting to dictate terms for humanity's return to quarantine. They were about to learn how dramatically the situation had changed. The Council recognizes the impressive technological achievement of humanity, said the lead diplomat, a tall blue-skinned being. However, the quarantine was established for good reason. Your species requires further development before the quarantine. Maya interrupted, her voice firm but calm. Will never be reinstated. The council representatives exchanged glances. Perhaps a compromise, another suggested. A limited area for human expansion under council supervision. Maya placed a data tablet on the table and slid it forward. These are our terms. The alien diplomat cautiously reviewed the document, his compound eyes widening. This is not a negotiation. It's an ultimatum. Correct. Maya stood up. Humanity demands recognition as a sovereign power with all rights to the systems we now control. Additionally, we require open access to council trade routes and technology exchanges. Or what? Asked the third diplomat, voice sharp with indignation. Maya's expression remained unchanged. You have 48 hours to bring our terms to the full council. After that, we will consider your rejection a hostile act. The meeting ended abruptly as the council representatives departed. Maya's second-in-command approached. Will they agree? He asked. No, Maya replied. They can't. It would undermine thousands of years of council authority. She turned to face the tactical display showing human and council positions. Alert all fleet commanders. Operation Lightning begins in 50 hours. 2 days later, when the council predictably rejected human terms, the Earth Defense Coalition launched what would become known as the Lightning War. Human forces struck with unprecedented speed and coordination. The quantum jump tactics developed by Commander Singh evolved into something council strategists considered impossible. Mid-battle micro-jumps that allowed human ships to appear, fire, and vanish within seconds. In the Rigel system, the first major battlefield, Council Commander Thrain watched in horror as his carefully arranged defensive formation collapsed. They're jumping inside our lines, his tactical officer shouted. Impossible. The energy requirements alone would. A bright flash illuminated the bridge as a human destroyer appeared less than a kilometer from Thrain's command ship, fired a precise burst that disabled their engines, then vanished before defensive systems could respond. Order all ships to scatter, Thrain commanded. Break formation. But it was too late. Human vessels materialized throughout his fleet, targeting key systems with surgical precision. Within 20 minutes, 18 council vessels were disabled, their crews forced to evacuate. Not a single council ship had been destroyed, only disabled and captured. The pattern repeated across 3 more systems within the week. Council forces, trained in traditional space warfare tactics, found themselves utterly unprepared for humanity's approach. Their rigid battle formations, unchanged for millennia, became liabilities rather than assets against human strikes. 3 months into the war, the Council attempted to mount a major counteroffensive. They gathered their largest fleet, over 120 vessels, and targeted the human base in Alpha Centauri. Fleet Admiral Maya Chen, now commanding from the flagship ESS Unity, watched the Council Armada approach. They've finally adapted, she observed. Notice the scattered formation. They're trying to minimize the effectiveness of our jump tactics. Her tactical officer nodded. Should we adjust our approach? Maya smiled slightly. No. We'll show them why that won't help. She turned to her communications officer. Signal all ships. Execute Lightning Protocol 3. What followed stunned even veteran council commanders. Instead of individual ships making tactical jumps, entire human battle groups jumped in perfect synchronization, appearing at multiple points throughout the council formation simultaneously. Before council ships could respond, the human groups jumped again, striking from new vectors. The massive council fleet broke apart within an hour, unable to establish any effective defense against attacks coming from constantly changing directions. By the 6th month of the Lightning War, humanity controlled 12 council systems. By the 9th month, 27. The Council, an institution that had dominated galactic politics for over 12,000 years, found itself in retreat across multiple fronts. Most surprising to council leaders was humanity's treatment of conquered worlds. On Vega Prime, a trading hub previously under strict council control, the local governor expected harsh occupation forces. Instead, a human diplomatic team arrived with an unexpected proposal. The Earth Defense Coalition offers Vega Prime full local autonomy, explained the lead diplomat. In exchange for military alliance and resource-sharing agreements, you may maintain your own government and cultural practices. The governor was suspicious. The council said humans would enslave conquered species. We know what it's like to have freedom denied, the diplomat replied. We won't impose the same on others. As the war entered its second year, the Galactic Council faced an unprecedented crisis. Internal divisions had weakened their response, with several member species arguing for accommodation rather than continued resistance. Human forces now controlled nearly a third of what had been Council space. In a historic session, the Council voted, narrowly, to sue for peace. The treaty negotiations, held on neutral territory, lasted 3 months. The resultant Centauri Accords recognized the Human Federation, as it was now called, as a sovereign power with equal standing to the Galactic Council. The borders were drawn, trade agreements established, and a mechanism for resolving future disputes created. But the most significant outcome was the reformation of the Galactic Council itself. Under human insistence, the previously closed body was forced to adopt more transparent governance and create pathways for emerging species to join without arbitrary development requirements. 10 years after being quarantined, humanity had not only broken free, but had fundamentally reshaped galactic politics. Fleet Admiral Maya Chen stood before the newly formed Galactic Assembly. Representatives from both Council worlds and the Human Federation gathered in one chamber for the first time. A decade ago, we were judged unworthy of the stars, she said, her voice carrying through the vast hall. Today, we help chart the course for a more just and dynamic galaxy. She looked at the Council representatives, many of whom had supported the quarantine. Your mistake was believing that isolation would make us more like you, cautious, traditional, resistant to change. Instead, it made us more ourselves, adaptive, resourceful, and unwilling to accept arbitrary limitations. The chamber was silent as she continued. Humanity does not seek dominion. We seek partnership, but never again will we allow others to decide our destiny. The stars belong to all of us, not just those who reached them first. As Maya concluded her speech, representatives from both the former council and newly liberated worlds rose in applause. The galaxy was entering a new era, one where humanity's voice would help shape the future. On Earth, citizens celebrated as the final piece of the quarantine barrier, preserved as a monument, was placed in a museum in Geneva. Beside it stood a simple plaque with the words that had guided humanity through its darkest hour. They tried to cage us. Instead, they taught us to soar.